All right. Hey, welcome back to Chop It Up TV. It's Uncle Freezy. Got my homeboy, one of my best friends in life, on the line with me. You know what I'm saying? We just came in here to chop it up. We ain't gonna talk about that specific. We just gonna chop it up like we usually do. What up, Steve?
What's happening, man? What's good with you?
Hey, what's good with you? Hey,
Man,
you're a
just
busy dude, man. Hey, man, I appreciate the fact that you stopped counting money long enough to come talk to me for a few minutes.
man, look here. I just been trying to keep it even, man. Trying to stay afloat, brother.
Yeah, man.
All I can
Yeah,
do
man.
right now.
Yeah, but hey, how the boys doing?
Everybody's good. Little Steve is probably about 6'1" and a half, size 14 shoe. Still growing, eating out
Golly.
everything in my refrigerator, eating every 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours.
And a lady killer, I
Good.
bet.
Yeah, like he a newborn, bro. Yeah, my middle son, he's just working, man. He doing little odd jobs so he can make some money. He like keeping money in his pocket. So
Yeah,
um
man. Yeah, man.
Josh is done a 360, bro. He's turned himself around. He's acting really more responsible, doing his work,
Right,
doing what he was supposed to do in
right.
school. He was one grade shot. I think he was like 3 or 4 points from being on the honor roll. And he was working hard all
Oh
year to get
man.
there. But his attitude and
Okay.
behavior, everything changed. But I had to get involved in a lot of stuff to make
Mhm.
it change. So
Okay.
and you know, Kiana just turned 21, so she wide open right now.
Right, right. Well, so Junior just walked out of the room. Junior just was in here for a few minutes, man. We was on the phone with his sister. You know what I'm saying? So he just walked out of here. And you can't tell him nothing when you walking around with, he in school and got this little full time gig. You can't tell him nothing because he got money in his pocket and no bills. You know what I mean?
What
So
is
you
that?
can.
What is that with the young trying to straddle the fence? They trying to like you can't talk to them because like they think they're an adult, but yet they still want you to
Right,
fix dinner for them every night.
right, right. Can you pay my cell phone bill? Basically, you're like what? You told
Bro,
yesterday you told me you was a grown ass man. Now you want me to pay you?
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I feel you. I
That's
I
what we
I
are.
feel you. Yep, yep. Man, hey, they grow up fast, man. I mean,
Oh, they do, man.
yeah, hey, man. I mean, it's like one day you taking them out the hospital, putting them in the little car seat that's like 8 times too big for them, and then before you know it, you know what I'm saying? They like, hey, y'all got money for a car seat? Because I can't bring the baby home unless and you like, dang, where all these years go? You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? You like
I'm at that
all
point,
these.
especially with little Steve, because I'm only 5'8", 5'7", 5'8". This
Right,
joker
right, right.
1.5 and still growing. Yo, so I'm trying to walk away from the dude, and he just reach out and just grabs my shoulder from halfway across the room because he just some random.
Right, right, right,
I'm like,
right.
bro,
Hey
like,
man, hey man, hey. I'm telling you, man. They grow fast, really fast, really, really. And these dudes, my sons are big people too, man. They like 250, 240, and you
yeah,
like, man, you know. And with that said, one of I don't know if you met him or not, but we were talking about um, issues that are important to us, like what issues going on right now are important to you, and the way he was directing it to me, and basically I told him, man, I just want my babies to be safe when they leave the house. 'Cause
right,
I don't know if I can deal with, what I'm saying, one of those George Floyd situations where my baby out in the street minding his business, and then somebody coming up to the house saying something happened to him, and the things just don't seem, the circumstances don't seem right. You know what I'm saying? Because I can
right,
deal with a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I can deal with, I can deal with a lot of stuff, man. But the stuff that's out of my control, like when your kids and stuff be out in the streets, you know, that stuff you can't control because you can't keep them in the house. You can't smother them. But at the same time, you know, you kind of want them to be, you really want them to be safe as they go forward. And not just from physical harm, man, just emotional stuff too. Like, you know, you don't want them to get like pulled over and some cop having a bad day, you know, be a jerk to them and have them shaken. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's you know, one of those, that's one of the things that's on my mind and heart right now. Like, I don't care about stock markets and all that stuff, even though I know what the stock market is. It's a projection of wealth based on what we think will happen in the future. That's all the stock market is. Like, you buy a stock at one price, hoping in the future that it'll get to another price so that you can sell it to somebody who is, you know, want to buy it at that price. Like, I want to take these old Nikes in here and sell them for $20, or, you know, I buy them at $30, hoping I can get $40 for them. You know what I'm saying? And the next person want to do this. I already know how the stock market works, so that's not a big thing to me, because I understand, regardless, you know, who's in power or whatever, the stock market is going to go through ups and downs. But I can't go through ups and downs with my family, you know, well being. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's one of those things. That's the reason why, you know, that's the most important thing to me at this point, you know, and probably ever, you know, nobody wants to, you know, and so my sons are big, man. Like, Rock is like 6'2", and Junior is like 6 foot. So people that don't know them may be intimidated by them by their size. You know what I'm saying? Just by size alone. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, people thinking that they're defending themselves may do something, you know, just because they're intimidated by a black man's size. And I know all people don't think that way, because there's a lot of sweethearts out there in the world that genuinely care about our people and our well being. But some that don't know us, you know, they get intimidated, you know, easily, and before you know it, something bad will happen just out of fear, you know. And then at the same time, they're just bad people out there.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
true.
That just want to do some harm to somebody because they don't have the mental stability to understand that, you know, doing harm to people is just not the way to go. But anyway, that was me talking about, you know, what was on my mind, man. So how in the world did Josh do his 360? I
Um,
mean, I understand I understand it's a process, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
bro.
But you're talking about changing the temperament, maybe some environmental stuff that changed and upgraded.
Yeah, well, we're talking about a lot of things. First, you're going to be talking about environment.
Right,
Of course, I'm not married to his mom, so you know, he has to survive in two different environments.
right,
But also, you know, with the two environments, there's different ways that we both live. You know, I discipline a certain way. His mom disciplined a different way. Um,
right, right,
and with those, you know, environments, you know, you have different decisions, you have different things that you do, which affects how the child is. With
right,
Josh, we went through a whole point of him getting expelled from school, him having to repeat a grade, to
right,
him not doing his homework last year.
right, right,
Um, but I made it to a point where I just put everything on the table, and I really, you know me, Free. I was already volunteering at a school. I was already coming to a school on my
right,
on my days off. You know, when we was doing the
right, right,
4 days a week. But
right,
now I really got involved. Still volunteering at his school, but um, I went. I made it a deal with his mom that, look, let's just do this. He's with me for a week, and he's with you for a week,
right,
and for the whole school year, actually since last September. Yeah, since last September, every other week for the whole week he's been with me. So that means getting up early from where I stayed to drive him all the way
Right.
across town.
Right.
And
Right.
for him, school started at 7 o'clock.
Right.
And
Right.
I stayed 25 miles out. So that
Right.
means waking him up at least 5:30,
Right.
making sure he eat and all that. But you could tell doing that, that's what he wanted.
Right.
There was other people that got involved. My dad got involved. He'd pick him up from school for me because, I was working.
Right. Right.
So he loved being around his grandparents. The grandparents helping with homework.
Right.
My wife would be helping him when she picked him up from the grandparents' house. So he had a different support system. And I'm not going to go delve too far involved in that.
Let me ask you about that, because you said some things I don't think um, um, society in general often hears from a black man. I know that sounds strong, man, but it is what it is. It's, first of all, volunteering at a school
Yeah,
a
man.
black man is something rare, and I know this, because I used to work for the school district for a long time,
Yeah.
and often I would be the only black male that a kid would see for, there were other black males there, but we were so spread out, and, not as in the number as, say, a white female, that, and once a kid would like see a black male, they would be like, and this is just me and the guys that I was, they were relieved, like, they would do stuff like try to call me by my first name or call me by my street name or whatever, and I'd be like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
man, you can't call me that. Your daddy or your uncle he used to call me that, but you can't, cause they call me that because they know me, but you have to call me by such and such. So you have to set these belts. But my point though is they felt so comfortable seeing somebody that they would eventually aspire to, that they would open up with me, like, they were like, hey, I really couldn't do my homework last night because my parents was fussing all night. I wish they'd stop. They just fuss and argue all night long. I just can't. And you be like, you kind of hope, or you kind of want to have an answer for them, but not knowing
Mm-hmm.
the situation, the best thing to do, and I found with the group of kids that I had, the best thing to do was just be a sounding board for them, somewhere that they can vent. And then when they see me, they always saw me in a positive light because I was doing positive stuff. While I can't resolve their stuff at home, I could always be like the person at school that they can come to and be like, hey man, I wanted to get, they got wings today and I'm like 20 cents short, and then I'd give them a quarter. You know what I'm saying? After a while, it'd be a line, like kids be like, hey man, I'm 15 cents short on my, and you know what I'm saying? Or like after school
Yeah.
projects, they'll be there. I'll be like, hey man, you had a snack since you've been here? Nah. I'm like, man, run over to the popcorn booth, man, and tell me such and such. I said, give you a popcorn and a soda, and I'll pay her when I come over. You know what I'm saying? Little small stuff, right?
Right.
That go overlooked. But the other thing that you said was setting a schedule and discipline, like waking up at a certain time, being
Mm-hmm.
ready at a certain time,
Mm-hmm.
getting fed a healthy breakfast before you go to school and
Yeah.
such, and being ready. All those things are profound, man. We don't often hear. Um, I ain't just gonna say black men. I'm just say men in general. You don't often hear men in general speak to those terms and disciplinary measures in order to try to ensure some measure of success with somebody that is going through a transition. You know what I mean? And man, you said, as usual, when I talk to you, you
Oh
drop all
yeah.
these gems all at once, and you force people to like scatter and try to pick up these
Nah.
pick up these gems. Like I can imagine a young dude right now, a young man right now, heard that little bit that you said, and like you changing his whole outlook on life, because a lot of us hadn't been taught to do those things in that way. But I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that was a whole lot that you just opened up on, and man, I just didn't want it to be slept on or overlooked, because man, you're basically outlining, a blueprint for success. And not just for you, because you may find it to be successful once Josh graduates with his master's degree and gets a job paying him $400,000 a year in a city that he loves. You might find that to be successful, but his measure of success will probably be, Pop Duke stepped in when I was struggling and helped me get to this point. So I'm gonna make sure that I pass this along to my son. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
That's
Yeah.
the whole point. That's the whole point. We can be better than our situations. And for me, you know, I one thing my parents always instilled in me was responsibility and accountability.
Right.
So, at all costs, I got to do what I got to do for him,
Right.
to make sure that he's safe, to make sure, certain things happen for him.
Right.
Um, because he's my responsibility. He didn't ask to come here. Me and his mom didn't have a great relationship, whatever.
Right.
But there's that point where you got to get past each other, and it's about the child. And what's crazy about that situation was, his godfather told me, he asked me a question. He said, Steve, if you could get Josh and leave her, she can still get the same child support, and you could have Josh every other week, would you do it? And the first thing that we gonna say, man, you crazy.
Right. Right.
Man, she already getting the money. What you mean?
Right. Right. Right.
But my pride set in, and that
Right.
was my pride.
Right.
But when I had to go really and think about it, I turned around and did exactly what he said and exactly what he asked me. I turned around and did it a couple months later, left her with the child support. She got all the child support,
Right.
but I get my
Right.
son every other week for the
Right.
entire week. And with that, it changed him.
Right.
And it wasn't about the money, man. So, there's a lot, and then became a bigger picture, because like you said, with the volunteering, man, I ended up getting to his school, and I was like, yo, there's other kids just like him. Not saying that
Yeah.
I was blind, but there's other young boys, other young black boys, other young white boys, other young just boys in general that are
Right.
just like that. They're in
Right.
some difficult situations that,
Right.
and they just want somebody who they can talk to, somebody that believes in them, somebody that'll help them with their homework, somebody
Right.
just take time to find out what they're interested in.
Right.
And I had to tell this to a group of fathers that we had a meeting, we had Donuts for Dads, and I said, hey man, I know we all don't know each other, and we may not see each other again, but I said it's something that's leading me to tell you all this. I said, I know we come home every day and we come off our jobs and we do whatever, and we got situations, we got stress, and we got all that when we come home and deal with our families.
Right.
But give your child 15 to 30 minutes just to find out what they've been doing today. That sometimes will change their life.
Right. Hey, right. Because the thing you mentioned, and it's twofold. Like we need to win an Academy Award or Oscar or something for this, because you just dropped two more gems. Like the the fact that you mentioned that you would pay child support to this lady, right?
Yeah.
Even though the child is staying with you, reinforces this point of investing in the child himself. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because a lot of parents will be like, "Hey, I'm paying her to do this. She needs to go ahead and do this because I'm paying her for it," which is
Yeah.
not even really that important. The important part is the child having balance and structure and
Yeah.
seeing positive role models and things of that sort. And the other thing you mentioned too is that by giving a child your attention for for a few minutes, you know what I'm saying? Because 30 minutes is not that long. You know
It's
what I'm saying?
not.
We watch Amazon, we watch not Amazon, but we watch shows on Netflix that are say 40 minutes, and you're like, dang, that was kind of short. You know what I'm saying? Just imagine you giving that time to a child to let them communicate with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because a lot of times we want to say stuff to each other and not know the words that we want to use. And if you only give them 30 seconds to elaborate on how they feel, and you only give them 15 seconds, they may not be able to do it. And now you build up these things of frustration. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
man.
Yeah, and
I
you don't
just,
really want to
for
do that.
me, for us, man, like, for me, I really, and this is just something else, the way I grew up, and it's kind of old school. Now, I'm not gonna say kind of old school. It is old school, but the way
Right,
I grew up is that, man, I learned a lot, and I learned a lot about life around the dinner table.
right,
There was no TV, no nothing. We all had sit down conversations. Sometimes you got to participate. Sometimes you just sat back and listened to the stories. Sometimes you stepped back and just listened to what was going on in the world. But sometimes you got to participate in what was going on. And I think a lot of children are not getting time to participate properly and healthy because we
right,
push technology, we push things on them um, to get them away from to something else to entertain them, and it's not
right,
healthy. That some of us are growing up with social issues, or some of our kids are growing up with social issues because we put technology there instead of just sitting at the table discussing our feelings, discussing, just regular things. I don't care if it's Pokemon,
right,
just having a discussion. We don't do that as much, but I require it in my house. We sit
right,
around. We actually, while my son was here during the summer, because he just left like 2 weeks ago
right,
for the whole summer.
right, right, right,
But I made him do a PowerPoint because he said, "Dad, I love doing PowerPoints." I said, "Okay, since you love doing PowerPoints, let's do a PowerPoint on sharks." So I gave him a week, and he had to present it in front of everybody in the house. You just got to get out of
right.
yourself. You got to get out of just not doing regular stuff.
So you
You
presented
got
him
to
with a
get interested.
challenge. You presented him with a challenge.
Yeah, hit them with whatever they interested in. Like my son
Right,
is really, Josh is really into computers, man. He
right,
really into computers. He will play games. He play his Roblox. I mean, he'll play that joint 12 hours a day. But he got an old soul too. I mean, he know every Michael Jackson song there is, and
right,
know
right,
all the disc, every song that's out there for him.
right,
Um,
right,
but with him, you just gotta. I just say with children in general, you have to find out what they're interested in and go for what they're interested in. Man. I don't think I know we as parents like to try to guide our children all the time and everything, but if you never take part in what they're interested in, and I've had that happen to me, uh, I'm kind of like a late bloomer. I late bloom to everything. I just
right,
do.
right,
I've just learned how to accept that.
right,
But with my children, I try to be as far interested in what they want to be interested in. I try to give them as much attention as possible without trying to be overly, giving them all this attention where they always crave it. And that was, to say all of that, that was Josh's thing that he was missing.
right,
So when you put all of this support system and environment and all of this, he was lacking the proper attention. He saw some stuff grown people shouldn't see at the age of 2 and 3 years old.
right, right,
People getting handcuffed in front of him and taken out and drug infested and all
right,
different type of stuff, bro.
right,
That even in my day as almost being 40 years old, I have never seen.
right, right,
So for me, it was, I had to get him out of certain things. I had to get him away from certain things. I had to challenge his mom on certain things. Look, you're going to have to change or this is going to go down. I'm not even going to play with you.
right. So
But
you invested. So you invested because you see. Okay, so I'll tell you this. A lot of people, and while they say that they want to do the right thing, a lot of people don't invest in situations that look like they may be headed in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's nice to say that, yeah, man, somebody needs to step up, man, and do such and such and such and such. But a lot of people won't risk what they already have, like the peace that they already have,
yeah,
to
man,
save somebody that's going through hell. And I'm not saying that Josh is going through hell. Well, what I'm saying is this example of if you got everything peaceful and going your way, your money right, no arguments at home, all this stuff is going good, and then there's a situation over here, well, somebody is going through it. A lot of people won't risk rocking the boat at home to help somebody else, let
Right.
alone it be a relative. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let alone it be a relative. I don't know the situation with at the stuff with Josh and stuff, and I imagine you want to keep some that stuff private since it's whatever but the thing is
I understand.
the fact that you even mentioned that you would risk it all to go help your child is something that should be commended, because while we say a lot of people say they would do such and such and such and such, a lot of people don't do it. And for
Yeah.
the fans there on Chop It Up TV, y'all can say that y'all would, but I know people that have tried to ignore the situation instead of providing help or stepping in gap to try to provide some type of normalcy or safeness, not normalcy, because even bad situations can become normal if they happen frequently enough. And
Right.
we don't want that to be the normal. We want people to be in safe environments where they can be productive citizens by providing instruction, all that stuff. You dropping these gems, man. I gotta have you come on more than yeah. You gotta be a recurring guest on here, man. Cause
You know what I mean, like I told you, I'm always free, man. I'm
yeah,
always free.
yeah,
Always free.
man.
But yeah, man, I believe definitely, you know what I'm saying, into mentoring, man. We gotta be mentoring our kids. We gotta mentor other kids, man. Because like I
Yeah,
said, being around where he comes from, where he's going, and his situations, man. I love them kids from Richland One. I love them kids
yeah,
at Taylor, man. Some of the best and brightest children you could ever meet, but some of them have some of the craziest situations.
yep,
Some of them have the craziest situations. And
yeah,
I'm not
man.
going to, elaborate on certain, but I mean, there's a few instances, man. You know, and what's crazy is, man, I've the one class that loved me to death, because I dealt with everybody. I'm talking about from pre-K all the way to fifth grade. So I'm dealing with some, some
You be
bona
amazed, boy.
fide.
You be
I'm talking
amazed
about,
what them
yeah.
4 year olds know.
I told them straight up. I only want to deal with the troubled kids. I
Right,
understand with some of these good kids, and I talk to every kid in the hallway, don't matter. But there's a lot of some of these young kids that, going into middle school and you already getting in trouble, man, you closer to either being the juvie or being on that street, bro.
yep,
And I mean, real close. But I mean, but like I said, the one class that I loved to death and they loved me to death was my pre-K class. And
right,
it was crazy. The 4-year-olds, some of the stuff that I heard from about parents and what I've seen, man, it would trip you out. But to
right.
feel the love from the young boy, I called them the BFC. That was the best friend crew. I had about 6 young boys, and you know
Right,
what, Free, man, I got them all to start sharing, start doing other things, because you know what, with these young boys, they see each other and they want to fight. And I
right,
don't know what it is. I don't know if it's society or whatever,
right,
but they just wanted to fight. They wanted to fight. I took 6 boys. I started off with probably about 4. It got up to about 6.
right,
But all I did was take some blocks and we started building stuff.
right,
And we started talking about, at 4 now, we just started talking about certain things. What's your favorite TV? What do you want to be? And one of my biggest questions I would ask them just about every week, what do you want to be when you grow up? People don't understand how big that is right there. Just asking
right,
that question to your child
right,
shows that you have interest in what they're doing. I ask my sons, I ask them all, even Kiana still today, 21, what you gonna do with your life? Now I may
right,
switch it up on her. Hey, you 21, what you doing?
right, right,
But even Josh, I'll ask him, hey, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? How are we gonna get there?
right. Right.
And we don't show that to our children. I mean, I try to break everything down. I had one young boy, he said, man, I want to be a rapper, man. I said, okay, you want to be a rapper? That's cool.
Right. Right.
I don't have no problems with you rapping.
Right. Right.
I said, now if you want to rap, I expect you to be able to read
Right.
and be able to write, which means I
Right.
expect you to
Exactly.
excel in English.
Exactly.
I said,
Exactly.
okay. So now you become this big rap star. I said, cool. So if you become this big rap star, what's something that you want to do? What's something that you want to buy? I want to buy me a gold chain, man. I want to buy this nice gold chain and have it. I said, okay.
Right.
Now, since you want to buy this gold chain, I'm going to need you to learn math and science.
Right. Right.
He said, man, why I got to learn that? I said, because. I said, first of all, you got to know the elements in chemistry of gold.
So you won't buy a fake. So you won't buy me buying a fake gold chain.
My point exactly.
Right.
I said, but second of all, I'm gonna need for you to know the mathematical equation to now know how to calculate how much gold is worth, so you don't get cheated out of your gold.
Exactly, and manage your money so you can still pay your light bill, your car insurance, pay for where you live at, and save up enough money to buy that gold chain that you always aspired to have.
Right.
So while that seems like it's basic and complicated at the same time, I think it's one of those deals where when you ask them that, it's about goal setting. So it's like, you ask them at one point, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? So now they think growing up might be 20, right? We know 20-year-olds don't exactly think like 40 or 60-year-olds all the time, but they set a goal, and then the fact that you lay out these markers for them to make that march toward that goal that they set is what aspires kids to not be caught up in the wash and step out and be their own person and take advice and learn steps incrementally so they can get to that thing that they really want to be when they grow up. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So, like, man, by you saying that, I think you just like, man, these young fathers out here, like these dudes that are 18, 19 that'll watch this video or whatever, they'll say, they'll say stuff like, man, I remember watching this crazy video on YouTube where these two old dudes was talking about this thing, and it kind of helped me become the father that I am. Like I'll give you an example. Of how I felt like I became a good father. All the men around me were not good dads. You know what I'm saying? Some of them were bad. Because there's a difference between being not good and being bad, right? So there was this. So I looked at the guys that were bad and said, I don't want to do that. So instead of going on that path that they went through, I said, you know what? I'm going to do it the other way. I'm going to listen to the baby and see what the baby's saying. I'm going to listen to the missus and see what the missus is saying. I'm going to read these books. And I'm going to read these books, so self-help books for myself, but I'm also take these other books and read them to my babies. So they'll see me reading to them and they'll participate. And through repetitiveness and redundancy, they'll see, like, they'll read, and when I get to a certain part, they'll recognize the words because we read that same book over and over and over. But it was their favorite. I like, go pick your book. They'll go get the same book. I'll read it. And then, for me, I watched, over, say, the last few years, I watched my son graduate from college, buy him a car, do all these things. And without getting too deep into his personal life, because, when you talk about people's personal lives, you want to give them a modicum of respect for what they do. But he went to a major university here in South Carolina, He graduated, And
he got out.
Yeah, he let us free.
Hey, I'm counting down the days, bro.
So you got so he went through this thing of watching me struggle trying to be good because it didn't come natural to me because I had learned it the wrong way for so many years that
Mm.
my process I was struggling, saying trying to be the good one. But what he learned is that being a dad is a full time investment, 24/7, 365. You know what I'm saying? And
It
some of the
is,
stuff I
man.
did wasn't popular at the time. But now when we talk, he like, man, I'm so glad you didn't let me get that tattoo on my face when I was 15. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
all some
Oh
weird,
yeah.
yeah, all these weird things that kids want to. Yeah, I'm so glad that you didn't let me spend all my money from my job, all in one place. You told me to you put half here and take the half and let it stretch for 2 weeks. All these old things that I taught, like
Yeah.
that was his homeboys are like get their check and blow it all in one weekend, and he would always have money. You know what I'm saying? And then like his homeboys would be like, man, I wish my pops was more like your pops, man. Your pops was a trip growing up, but I understand what he was doing. And it'll be that same thing with your boys. Like your boys, they friends gonna be like, man, I wish my pops would have hung in there with me and what I'm saying and did such and such. That situation seemed crazy at the time, but now that we grown, I understand that he was, hanging in there for you, trying to make sure that you was
Right.
Gucci.
Yeah. I kind of go through that now. Especially when your kids get older and they start seeing, they get the choice of seeing you for the real you, and
Right,
they start understanding the environment and the surroundings in the environment because some of it, it's not so conducive.
right,
And,
right,
and they don't, like you said, they don't understand why you was doing what you was doing. But then once they get older, it kind of hit them. So yeah, I
right.
understand. I've
Like
gone
why?
through that.
Like they ask questions like, "Why we always eating at home, man? We don't never go out to eat. We go out to
Oh
eat.
yeah,
We do it in a um in a different way. Like we'll go out to eat, but we'll do it like for me and Mocha like anniversaries or like a date night or something like. But it'll be planned. But we ain't just gonna come home with like, oh, we got food in the fridge. But bump that. Let's go spend $150 at such and such. Nah,
mm-hmm.
nah. What they understand, we cooking at home because for one, and I know this sounds so corny, and we teaching life skills, man. Like we be at home. It's actually my time while we cooking at home, it's my time to talk to the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
yo, go get me that salt out of the what's the name? How was school today? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Or Rock, go check the grill, make sure the grill hot enough. Did you check the gauge on it to make sure we got enough, gas in the whatever? And so he like, we having these conversations while we doing stuff. And so while they think I'm putting them to work, we actually fellowshipping. Then when they look back on it, they like, you know what? You was slick. You was real slick. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
I
But
tell
that's how you got to do.
yeah, I tell my pops thank you all the time because man, I have a different work ethic. You know what I'm saying? But I
Right,
developed that work ethic probably about the age of 5 and 6 because
right,
that joker will wake you up. He woke me up and my brother, and you know what I'm saying. We be going to we be going to cut grass at
right,
any and everybody's house for free.
right, right,
All the old ladies from the church got their grass cut for free, and we go cut the churchyard.
right.
And even though I wasn't old enough at that time to be cutting grass, probably about 5 and 6 years old, my responsibility was to hold the bag. Anybody that needed something dumped, my job was to hold the bag. So I had to
Hold the
walk around,
bag, blood.
hold the bag. You
Yep,
better not let nothing drop out of this bag. If I come over
yep.
here to this bag, it better be open.
Right, right, right,
Until I learned how to cut grass, and then until I learned how to trim trees and things of that nature.
right,
I think that's another kind of little lost art form that we don't have in our society to probably due to technology. But some people are lacking the work ethic, man.
right,
I can see it in my kids. My kids don't, nah, man, they ain't like what we used to be. We be outside on the monkey bars all day.
right.
But for them, they'll go outside till it get hot a little bit, and it's back inside on the electronics. And I'm like,
Yep.
man,
Playing Fortnite.
y'all missing life, man. Y'all really missing
Yeah.
life, man. Y'all got bikes, man. We be in the neighborhoods tearing it up.
Right.
you know,
Right.
just things of that nature. But like I said, man, work ethic is something that I try to instill. You know, it's kind of difficult to a certain point because, you know, you got to have that drive. And I think, you know, my dad being military and whatever, he was just always an enforcer. So
Right.
it's like, yeah, he's just slightly off. So you might
Right.
not want to press that button if he tell you to
Right.
get up. But the one thing that I did find crazy, even when my brother went to college, and I thought it was amazing also too, is that, you know, my brother would bring home dudes from college. We'd be bringing, like, you know, his homeboys home from college because they may want to go out,
Right.
during the weekend. My daddy had 2 rules in the house. A, on Saturday morning, if you staying here for the weekend, A, on Saturday morning, you are getting up at 6 to 6:30 and help cutting this
Right.
grass.
Right.
And
Right.
number 2, you can stay out all night if you want to, but you better be in church on Sunday morning.
Right.
If you
Right.
plan on staying here, I'll give you
Right.
everything you want. I'll
Right.
feed you and do whatever. But those are the 2 rules you got to follow.
And you
And
can't be late for church.
and you
Cannot be
can't. Oh
late.
no, ain't no
No, you
sleeping.
ain't
Ain't
just
no
gonna
being
stroll in
late. Ain't
there
no.
as
Ain't
the
no walking
collection
up.
plate go round. You you standing up behind the ushers after the collection. There
Man,
ain't gonna be
look.
none of that.
Ain't no dipping at the altar call.
No, no, no. Ain't none of that.
Bruh. You ain't doing nothing that. He watching
Right.
you. So I
Yo,
mean,
hey, so you brought up a point that you and I speak about frequently. Um, college,
yeah.
and I think a few years ago I asked you the question about whether going to college and paying all this money is worth um, is worth, you know, advancing your career. Like and I'll give you an example. So I stay in school. I'm a lifetime learner. I'm in school right now. Still, I think I've been in school ever since you met me. No. When you met me, I think I was like in a little hiatus trying to get my money right so I can go back to school. But I got back in school and I continued to work on education, right? But what I find is I spend more money on school than I'm able to make back in my career, right?
Mm-hmm.
So while I know a lot of stuff, I know a lot of stuff. I ain't gonna lie. Now everybody is different with their level of learning and what they know and all this stuff. While I have a deep knowledge base, I don't find the investment to have a certain level of equilibrium. Like you pay all this money to go to school, and you can't like for instance, I'll have to pay say $19,000, or no, I think I'll pay like $23,000 for school this year, right? Um, but I can't get a $23,000 raise on my job where I'm working at currently. Right? Next year, I'll be paying about the same or more, maybe more next year, maybe like 40 something thousand. But next year, I'm not going to be able to go to my job and say, hey, listen, I need a $40,000 raise so that I can, um, you know, recoup this money I'm spending on school. So you're looking at like $63,000 and and money for school, and I don't know if I'll be able to recoup that back over the same time frame. What people have told me though is you don't recoup that money back from year to year. You can recoup it back in the long term. But my point though to this is how much do you have to invest in yourself in terms of education in order for you to see a positive return on your investment? And I know I mentioned one thing, but I'm actually getting both. So I'm actually getting knowledge and and um, certificates and diplomas and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, um, do you think that it's fiscally responsible to even go to college? Like, what's your point? What's your view on that?
At this point, right now, it depends on what you're going for.
Right, right,
It depends on what you're going for. I mean, um, if you're going to, like my son, little Steve, he wants to
be a principal. He really doesn't have a choice but to go to college, because he has to go to college to at least be able to get certified, make a decent wage to be an educator. But then now after that, he's probably going to have to go and get his master's to do something as far as, business administration.
Right.
And then it depends on what level that he wants to be a principal, or if he wants to go into the college realms where he's going to have to become a doctor.
Right.
But it's something that me and my dad were discussing here, and my dad was like, if you're really not a doctor by the time you're 32, you really don't get to make your money back.
Right.
And I was like, and he shot me some knowledge about that. But like I said, it just depends. I think there's always a point where education will help you. I'm not saying that people have to go to a 4-year college like that. Even if you get your associate 2 in 2 years, I mean, that may help propel you to where you need to go. Now, I know some people who have less degrees than I do and make way more money than I do. I have friends that don't even have degrees and make more money than I do. But there's also there's also some other factors that go into it too. Like I say,
and also that's in this moment. That doesn't mean that that's going to be the case long term.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff these days, degrees are not weighing as much because fields are being specialized.
Right.
So, like with computer science, I mean, you don't have to have a degree in computer science, not these days. You go get your certifications.
Right.
You'll make more money and spend less than going to get a 4-year degree. You get a 4-year degree, you got $60,000, probably about $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 in debt.
Yep.
You can spend $3,000 of that and go get CompTIA A+ certification and make $45,000, $56,000 a year.
Hey, so let me do this. I want to put a pin in that you just said. In the future, what I'd like to do is do a video based on what you just said about A+ certifications and things of that sort, because I feel like most people are intimidated by anything IT related, and a lot of it is because of IT jargon and computer languages and such. What I'd like to do is maybe at a later time, maybe we could just chop it up about that. You okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's cool.
Okay. All right. So I didn't mean to disrupt, man. So all right. So here it is, chop it up, fans. The reason why me and Steve get along so good, right, is because Steve likes to go in his bag and takes gems and throws them up in the air like LeBron James. So gems just like go everywhere. Like LeBron James throws the powder in there. So Steve go in his bag. Right. So Steve go in his bag and throw gems up, right? And what we have to do is I constantly have to like slow the conversation down, because while he and I are friends and have known each other for, I guess I met you like in what, 2015?
Yeah.
2014, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So while we are not lifelong friends, we hit it off immediately. So and the reason and I'm gonna just tell the story just real quick. So somebody we know, one of my friends, was like, yo, I got this guy, he's super smart, man, he's going to do something else. I got this spot, man, I'm trying to fill. Would you be interested? I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, where is it? Like West Evans Street, whatever, I don't want to drive, like, I don't feel like driving 20 minutes to work no more, man. I'm just, I mean, the kids in high school and blah, blah, blah. So I'm telling him these things. He's like, oh no, it's in Columbia. I'm like, Columbia? And so he's like, yeah, man. He's like, before you start tripping, let me, so I'm like, man, Columbia, dog, do you know how far away that is? He's like, yeah, man, I drive there every day, man. Real good people, man. Real. And he's like, yo, this cat, Steve, is super smart. I'm telling you, this cat is, and when he describing Steve to me, I'm like, damn, these what they go together. So this dude talking about Steve, like, you know what I'm saying? So, in my mind, I'm like, yo, this is crazy how you talk about this dude. Okay, so I'm like, all right, whatever. So I get there, and so we do the introduction, whatever. Everybody is like, we in this, honeymoon stage with all of these different people and personalities or whatever. So I talked to Steve, and the first thing we start talking about is bow ties. 'Cause I wore a bow tie the first day, right? And he's like, "Did you tie that?" And I'm like, automatically on the spot, because one of my shortcomings in life is I had never learned to tie a bow tie, and I tell people that I'm learning Spanish, even though I'll take years off and then go back and take years off and then go back and take years off and go back. So I know some Spanish, but I'm not fluent, and I like to wear bow ties. And at that time, I couldn't tie it myself. So we start talking about bow ties, and this dude goes into bow tie entrepreneurship, how to tie neckties into bow ties, when to wear bow ties, what type of socks you need to wear with your bow ties and things.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, this dude is from Go. I'm like, I like this dude. You know what I'm saying? From Go. And so we started building like not even a friendship, more like a kinship off of that stuff, because he would talk about stuff that I was, and when I say this, listen, Chop It Up fans, y'all know Uncle Freeze, y'all know I don't make friends that easy. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't like to go through this stage of back and forth or try to be friends with somebody. I don't make friends so I don't, and listen, I'm not saying that is the way to go. What I'm saying is my personality puts me in this situation where oftentimes I care more about other stuff than meeting new people. Like, I care more about the welfare of my sons stepping out into the world than I do about meeting friends. Now, meeting new people is one thing, but I'm talking about like having these people over to my house, going to their house. I'm talking about real friendship type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I meet Steve, and we hit it off instantly, right? To the point where my existing friend, the one that helped me, had me come over, so he's like, "Hey, you threw me away for Steve already? Oh, it only been like a little while or whatever." So anyway, the point I'm getting at is Steve and I would have these talks, and like I'll meet him on a 15-minute break, and in that 15-minute break, he would do the LeBron James throwing jewels in the air, and then go back to the IT room.
Yeah.
And then I'll be sitting there like with this big ass cup of coffee, like, what just happened? To the point where we had to start going to lunch, because the conversation was so crazy, you couldn't squeeze it in for like 13 minutes. So you had to, we actually had to go to lunch to have conversations, about real life stuff, not just because you meet people at work and people will say, will initiate these wide-ranging, non-substantial conversations just to pass time. Well, me and Steve and I would talk about stuff like the election process. Remember how I told you the election process we should change it to a tournament style, like March Madness? Remember I told you that, like get 64 candidates and just go round by round by round by round. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there because Steve will throw gems out there and walk off, and you gotta grab him like, hey, you can't just say that and then walk off. Yeah, man. So, but anyways, getting back to it, man. So, the thing with the IT thing, I think people are intimidated. So I think and I'm not saying that people's intimidations should be a real concern, but it is. So at some point, man, I want to talk to you about doing that maybe maybe down the road. But back to what we talked about college and such. I find that there are more people in this conversation that feel the way I do. Like, why pay all this money to go to school when you probably will never make it back in your lifetime? Not in a reasonable amount of time anyway. And so to your point, I think, finding out what it is that you might be good at or have a passion for, and then going to school for that might be the way to go. Except now we look at how do I know if I have a passion for it? Like maybe I want to do it buffet style. Maybe I want to taste this, and then go around the buffet and just taste something. And then when I find something that I like, I want to dig in on it. You know what I mean? So how do you feel about that?
Man, there's a difference. To me, like, everybody throws around the word passion. And for me, I've always had passion. Like, I have a passion for music and things of that nature. I'm an eclectic type person. I listen to everything from Metallica to Snarky Puppy. I listen to all type of music, all things in between. But for me, music was one of those things I just couldn't stop playing. I just couldn't stop doing that. Even to this day, I may tinker around with stuff when I have some free time. I still make beats, still record music. I still play for the church, so music has always been there. I think with passion, it just has to be something that you just would love to do without getting paid for it.
Right. But getting paid for it would be a plus.
But getting paid for it, of course. It's just like my son right now, Little Steve. I said, hey man, God gave you a talent. And he loves playing drums. Okay, you're 16 years old. When you go to college, that could be your little part-time gig, and you don't have to work hard. Maybe 2 days out the week.
Right.
Go to practice and go to service.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And there's cats that's making a couple $100 a Sunday.
Right.
But sometimes I think we get mixed up about passion, what we think is passion, and it may not be passion. It's just something that we like as a hobby.
Right.
Something that it may have been forced onto us that we didn't know, indirectly.
Right.
But I just think that it's just something that you want to discover, and you really like doing it. You really love doing what you do, and you do it unconsciously. You practice unconsciously. Now, the biggest thing that I try to tell my kids, even with whatever they're wanting to do, be prepared to fail. Right.
So let me ask you this about failure. So how about when failure starts to chip at your confidence? Like, how do you fight through lack of confidence through failure? How do you do it now? I'm not saying people in general.
How do I do it?
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, like I said, and I just give props to my pops. I work on a different gear. I've become, as I got older in life, I've just become where I just want to know. When I really want to know something for myself, I want to just, I enjoy the struggle.
Right.
I've learned how to enjoy the process. Right. I didn't get it today, but tomorrow I'm going to get it.
Right.
Or the next day I'm going to get, hey, I moved an inch today, but tomorrow I'm going to move another inch. Right. I don't think a lot of people enjoy the process. So they don't, for me, the confidence comes at the beginning for me. Right. Because when I'm ready to accept the challenge, I'm ready to go in it, head first, whatever. If I fail, get my head chopped off, I'm going to regroup and try to come at it at a different angle. Right. And I guess that comes from, being in the IT world so much, because when you mess up, first of all, when you break stuff, you got to go back and fix it.
Right, exactly.
And in IT, sometimes fixing things become unconventional.
Right.
So you may have to go over here. You may do 3 or 4 steps, and somebody comes in and say, all you have to do is press this button.
Right.
I mean, it's just certain things. But
that's a part of the learning process, though.
Yeah, I give, like I said, I give my pops credit, and I also on some real stuff I give Ed credit. Edward Henderson, who used to be my IT boss.
Hey, shout out to Ed.
Ed really taught me, hey man, there's nothing wrong with breaking stuff. That's the one thing that I got in IT. And in other words, he was telling me, hey, there's nothing wrong with failing.
Right.
The thing is that, can you go back and fix it?
Right.
Now, if you can go back and fix it, we all good.
Right.
Which is the same thing in life. If you fail, try to go back and learn how to fix it. If time permits or if it allows you to. Now, if it doesn't, then just learn from your mistake and keep on trucking.
Right.
But, you know, if you're able to fix it, fix it. And I've learned how to live by that just even in my personal life.
Right.
I used to get mad. Man, my kids be going around here breaking stuff. And I'd be like, hold on. Can you fix that? If you can fix it, I ain't going to be mad.
Right, exactly. Right.
Because people make mistakes.
Right,
So,
so fixing it doesn't always mean putting it back the way it was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I want to.
Yeah, it's not going. It may not work the same. It may not look the same.
But the function gets the same result. Right.
Right.
So I want to clear that up, man, because I understand what you're saying, and it's an excellent point. I didn't mean to even jump in there because I was like, man, you had me, had me in the spot. I was like, man, this dude is like doing LeBron James again, right here. And this time he's doing it in front of like millions of people. But like to your point though, fixing it does not always mean it's going to look like it did when it comes out of the box. Does it perform the way it's designed? And it's like to your point with relationships. Like if you have an argument with a girl and she's 16, and then you meet her again and you 36 or so. Just an example, not us, but you meet again and you at 36. You fixing it doesn't mean that you're gonna go back to the way y'all were when y'all was 16. You know what I'm saying? Fixing it means that you're gonna go back and undo some stuff that you probably did that was wrong, and then move forward as people that are 36.
Right. And I also think, man, the way you approach failure kills your confidence.
Right.
I mean, if someone told you, hey man, I'm gonna give you something challenging.
Right.
And you might fail at it, but the end result is that you're gonna get $2 million. This is rough. Right. You wouldn't mind failing.
Right.
You're gonna not even focus on the failing. What you're gonna focus on is, how am I gonna get to that $2 million?
Right. Kind of like going back. To when you said the kid, like when you asked the kid, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? So they established, they drew a goal and then they marched towards it. It's going back to like what you're saying right now.
Right. And what I was making him understand is that I said, now, out of all these subjects, I've touched on at least 3 of the subjects that you have to study every day.
Right.
So now you understand why I'm saying what I'm saying to you and why these things, your grades are important. Because if you're trying to be what you're wanting to be, I guarantee you there's some nuggets, like you said, or there's some jewels in there to help you along where you wanted to go in your career path. Now, if you over here talking to such and such or acting a fool in class, guess what you're missing? Your opportunity.
Right.
You're missing your chance to be what you wanted to be. I had to explain that to Josh. Because Josh has this thing. He wants to be a police officer. That's just his thing. He's on that motor. Right. I ain't been able to break him out of it in probably about 3-4 years.
Right.
But I told him, I said, I'm not letting you just go out there and just go be a patrolman. No. I'm gonna put you in some education. Go to Midlands Tech and get your criminal justice and associate.
Right.
Go get your associate degree. Just don't go out there naked.
Right. And then so don't go out there, set yourself up for failure, and then lose your passion for something that you wanted to do for a long time.
Go learn some background history.
Right.
You know, I've had, I had people, like I have a neighbor. I have two neighbors, who, and he loves her to death. But she works like basically for the she works for the narcotics unit. He anything that's crazy, like unmarked vehicle. He knows her car up and down.
Right.
But the other one works for, he works for the city.
Right.
And I have them talk to him all the time, about, I said, hey man, just drop him some little, police knowledge to keep him going.
Right.
To keep him on the hook, but don't reel him in. Keep just drop, say, hey man, you know why we have this, and you know why we have that, or you know why we do this protocol, you know why we do that protocol.
Right.
But because when he comes back and say, hey Dad, you know what I learned today? I learned this, and Miss such and such taught me this today. And I was like, okay, but now you understand why I get you to read? Because guess what she had to do? She had to read and memorize, like you hate to do, and you don't want to read and memorize.
Right.
I said, so I try to make it balance to where you're trying to go and where you are right now.
Right.
But
you know what though?
Even with that, he doesn't, his lack of confidence in reading is his failure.
Right.
And I'm telling him, the more you keep doing it, you get back up and fall. You get back up and fall. But guess what you got? You got a support system.
Right.
You got people who's here to help you.
Right. Right.
And now we're to the point where, I can't really get him to stop reading.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So I mean, it's just man. Like I said, I'm proud of the young fella for turning his act around. But I think a lot of the times, like I said, we as people, when we even talk about passion, we talk about failure, we talk about a lot of things. It's our approach. Even with dealing with people, even when me and you met, it was the approach.
Right.
Our approach dictates a lot of things in what we do. So.
Right. Yeah, man. So you touched on a couple things. The reading thing, I think, is I'm not for sure why this is, right? But reading is one of those things that's not popular in our culture. I'm not for sure why that is, especially men, like black men, and I don't want to throw out a percentage or some negative stereotype, but from the people that I'm around, the people that I know, reading is not one of those things that they like to do. Just as a hobby, like just read. I'm not talking about reading the menu so that you can eat. I'm talking about reading overall. Like, they feel like it's a waste of time. Like even like you get a entertainment system and it comes with instructions. And instead of reading instructions, they just get right into it and try to put it together. And then at the end, they're like, well, where these last 6 screws go? If you had read the instructions, you would know where these 6 screws go. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up, Steve. Man, listen, it's been a pleasure. As usual, we definitely have to get back together to at some point to talk about the IT thing. Also, just to give you an update, I'm still working on Blood Action Network. I talked to you about that like 3 or 4 years ago, about how I'm going to look to use the internet resources like YouTube to put educational videos and stuff out in one place where people can learn how to register to vote, how to create a resume, how to represent themselves in job interviews, how to dress for success. Maybe the topic that you and I talked about IT and such for people, and things of that sort. So I'm working on something now. I have a board up here, man, with a bunch of stuff on it. Of course, I'm going to ask you for some help because you have a wealth of knowledge in a lot of stuff, and you relaying information seems to come easy to you. So, at some point, man, I want to get together with you and continue having conversations like this so we can share it with the world.
Oh, no, no problems, bro.
Hey, and so chop it up, fans. Um, hey, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave comments in the section, comment section below, and make sure to share this video with others so that they can grab gems from this video and also see how Steve throws gems in the air like LeBron James throw powder. All right. Hey, thanks again, y'all, for watching. All right. So